Hey y'all, welcome to the channel of the Prince. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome back to my podcast called Let's Look Further. I want to talk to you tonight about the wildfires that are happening in the Carolinas right now. There are a lot of new updates going on with the wildfires that I want to share. But officials warn containment may take days as new wildfire erupts in North Carolina. Now, this is coming straight from a news source.
This morning, residents in the southeast waking up after a weekend of wildfires, red flag warnings, and frightening evacuations. Hurry! In South Carolina, first responders battling more than 170 wildfires as the governor here declared a state of emergency. This view of the blazes captured during a plane landing in Myrtle Beach after powerful wind gusts approaching 30 miles an hour over the weekend spread flames that reached several dozen feet into the sky.
And we've witnessed just how easily this kind of dry brush can fuel the fire. We've watched these flames multiply in just the last couple of minutes.
The South Carolina Forestry Commission says the fires have been worsened by a perfect storm of windy and dry conditions.
Talk to me about the conditions that firefighters are up against.
Well, it's very erratic. You saw it, the flames were low, and all of a sudden they jumped up, right? So wind changes can do that, and this kind of a fuel type, as we call it, so it can be a little scary.
Towers of smoke from wildfires can be seen for miles in North Carolina as well, as the region hopes the most dangerous fire conditions are under control.
And while firefighters will get some relief from those powerful wind gusts we saw over the weekend, there still is a burn ban in place across the entire state of South Carolina because of the wildfire risk. This region is short some 4 inches of its typical rainfall. Savannah?
All right, Emily Aketa leading us off. Thank you.
All right, let's bring in Al.
Now, the first thing I want to point out is I'm not seeing a lot of national coverage on these fires. Now, I just happened to have been scrolling on TikTok the other day, and I came across someone who was reporting about the fires going on. It was not like every other post or every other thing that came up on my feed was talking about the fires. I had just seen one video, and it struck me as odd that, number one, that there would be fires along the Carolinas. Typically, I'm used to fires being in heavily wooded areas with a lot of trees, and so this struck me as odd that there would be fires along the Carolinas, and then that it was not front page news. Now, remember, we are just a couple of weeks away from the fires that tore through LA and I believe it was Calabasas or some area like that near Los Angeles. Those fires were erupting for days. Those fires, in the midst of those fires, that's all anyone could talk about. That was front page news. But I was shocked that this was not front page news. That was my initial reaction. Now, when I get real with myself, am I truly shocked? No. No, I'm not truly shocked. The reason that I am covering this, even though I particularly deal with true crime and I deal with food, the reason I'm covering this story and bringing awareness to it is because I do believe it's a crime. I don't believe that these fires just erupted from nature and of natural causes. I believe that they were probably set, and they were set intentionally. They were set on purpose. And right after the fires die down, within, I would say, 2 years, every area that's destroyed by these fires along the Carolinas, you're going to see resorts built. You're going to see huge tourist attractions built. That's going to be the excuse to build those, is we had to build the area back up. It was so destroyed, so we decided to bring in businesses to help the area thrive again. That's going to be the excuse. You just watch. But going back to my statement about, am I shocked? No, I'm not. I currently live in Atlanta, and I moved here in 2021, March to be exact. But I remember it was 2020, and I believe we were going through the pandemic, and I was sitting at home, and I was scrolling on the internet. I came across this news article about people in the South who owned land, to be specific, Black people in the South who owned land, or that land had been passed down from generation to generation. The article talked about how their lands were being stolen from them. Either the taxes were shooting through the roof to the point where the landowners could no longer pay them, and then they end up losing their land, or their land is right out stole from them, or in some cases bought out from them, but most of the time taken from them. And I remember, I will never forget, I remember sitting in my front room on the computer, and I remember looking at that article and looking at some photos that a journalist had taken of this one lady's piece of land. It was on one of the islands in South Carolina. And I remember saying to myself, I got to get down there and feel that land. I've got to experience that land. I have to step foot on that soil to feel it and get that energy from that land before it's taken away, before it's washed away from my ancestors and from the people who built those lands. And fast forward a little bit to 2021, I responded to a call. I felt the pull to move south. And it was either going to be Chicago or Charlotte. It was either going to be Atlanta or Charlotte. And I chose Atlanta. Now, the reason I left the Midwest, particularly Chicago at that time, was so I could be closer to the Carolinas, to Georgia, the coastal parts of Georgia and Florida. So it could be easier for me to just get in my car and drive to those places and stay there over the weekends. When I'm off from work on the weekends, I can just drive to those places because it's maybe 5 to maybe 8 hours away, if that. And I could do that a lot easier if I lived south. And that's what brought me down here. Now, going back to my statement about, am I shocked about the fires? No. I was taken back to this story and my moments of realizing I needed to get down here. When I saw the TikTok video about the fires, number one, I was happy that I did move. And I was happy that I did start getting through those Carolinas to experience exactly what I came down here for. Back in July of last year, I had a chance to step foot in South Carolina. I had a chance to visit a few of the islands there, the sea islands there. I had a chance to step foot on the soil. I had a chance to go to Charleston. Love Charleston. I had a chance to meet the locals and eat a lot of soul food and feel the culture there. That was just step one. I'm nowhere near finished with my journeys toward throughout the South, but I'm happy that I was able to get to those places. I'm happy that I was able to become educated and build up some knowledge and also feel that land out for itself. Now, with these fires ripping through the states, it's shocking to me how they're able to go on like that, because a lot of those areas are not fully heavy wooded areas. That's why I believe that this was set. I do. But it's sad that this is going on and it's not getting front page news. You may hear a piece about it here and there, but it's not all over the papers the way the fires that we just experienced in California were. There are a lot of people who are being who are getting ready to have to evacuate their homes and getting ready to be misplaced because of these fires, particularly people of color. This is getting ready to be a tough time for the people of color along those coastal states. Some of them very much so may lose everything that they have, everything that their ancestors left them, those homes that their grandparents and Big Mama and their mother's mother and mother's mother's mother lived in. A lot of the people who live in some of those islands, I had a chance to learn that they were given those lands after slavery. They were given those lands. They had lived on them anyway. They had did the upkeep. They had run those rice plantations and help cultivate the rice business and get it growing and in abundance there. And now those pieces of lands are getting ready to be destroyed. And that breaks my heart. I am praying that there is a miracle and that this fire dies out before there is a complete destruction of those lands and of people's memories and heritages. That's the thing that is bothering me the most, is a lot of heritage, a lot of history is getting ready to be burned away. And I don't think it's by chance. I think it's intentional. I'm telling you, mark my words, within 2 years after these fires, we're going to see them laying foundations for resorts and shopping and tourist attractions. I was really burdened when I rode through the Carolinas. Specifically, I had a chance to go to, the name escapes me. However, there was beautiful shopping and there were these, it looks like $1 million timeshares and homes that were built along the coast. I remember riding through that land and feeling so out of place, not wanted, and like I was imposing on someone and their privacy and way of life. And it was really devastating to feel those things. I kept thinking to myself, I wonder how do the locals feel, the original locals feel, knowing that these used to be their lands. And now these big, beautiful $1 million homes are being built for timeshare and for vacation properties. And 90%, I remember one strip I was riding down, I remember thinking to myself, I'll be glad when this ends. I'll be glad when this street is done with and I don't have to look at any more of these homes. Because I could not, I was losing my breath. The further down I rode, I was just losing my breath in my mind. I could not believe that this much land had been taken from the locals and it had been given to new people who now call themselves locals. I do get business and how, in order to make the land thrive and functional and be able to take care of the upkeep and pay for the upkeep, you do have to have money. The economy has to be stable. I get that you have to have businesses and things like that, but I wonder just how many small businesses and local business owners were pushed out so you could have these big businesses there. I wonder how many people lost everything that they have so these timeshare owners and vacation renters or whatever you want to call them could now have a peaceful place to come and live. I'm telling you, I felt not wanted riding down those strips. I felt not wanted, and it felt dangerous, to be honest with you. I felt danger. And I'm someone who can just about adapt to most situations. I can be around all sorts of people, and I can be around a group of diverse people. I've been able to thrive in those areas well. But riding through the Carolinas, specifically South Carolina, I did feel danger. I felt that I was not wanted. I felt that all eyes were on me. Now, Myrtle Beach, a lot of us already see what's happening with Myrtle Beach. I believe that's probably going to be expanded. We're probably getting ready to see bigger businesses and more timeshares and vacation rental properties like never before through Myrtle Beach. And I read that the fires were getting ready to touch Myrtle Beach. There were some pieces that were there, but it was next in line. This is going to be interesting to see how, first of all, to see the destruction or the devastation of Myrtle Beach, and then to see how it bounces back after the wildfires of 2025. Because that's what's going to be put in the history books. That's going to be really interesting to see. I challenge you, though, to go, number one, and look up the wildfires that are going on right now through the Carolinas. If you can, give and donate to resources that will help the landowners and the locals build after this is over. Give to those charity causes and those foundations that are put in place to help the people of the land. Give to those causes. And then you mark my words, you come back to this video in a couple of years and you tell me what's new there. Now, I'm already going to know because I am going to be paying attention myself and I'm going to step foot in those places again. Maybe not so much in the areas where I felt danger and unwanted. but I'm going to definitely be going through the Carolinas again. So, if you have not already, like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.